Milk spotting. It's the scourge of modern bullion coins. But is it the responsibility of the dealers or us as consumers to push back and say to the mint, no, milk spotting is not acceptable, do better? Everybody, Backyard Bullion here. Now today's video is going to be about milk spotting in particular, and I want to talk today about what I think is going to be a pretty controversial topic. There's going to be definitely views on either side of it, and it's about how we can collectively push back against milk spotting and the issues that arise from milk spotting. Now I don't mean about what kind of things that we can do as collectors, as stackers of coins once we have a milked coin, once we've got it in the stack. What can we do to stop it milking, or what can we do to clean up the milk spots? No, I'm talking about as consumers, as buyers of silver coins, what can we do and what should we be doing? Should we be doing more to push back against the mints, against the dealers, against the sellers of milky coin? Now, I don't necessarily mean the sellers as in private second-hand people selling silver coins, milky coins, but there is definitely a sentiment rising at the moment. And I've got a lot of Royal Mint coins. In fact, I've only got Royal Mint coins out here on the table because sadly the Royal Mint seems to be suffering quite a lot from the milk issue at the moment, and it's causing some people quite a lot of annoyance. Rightly so, I should add. I do think that getting a milked coin is a real disappointment when it happens. It's one of those things that you just take a bit of a gamble on sometimes when you're buying silver coins. Now, if you don't know what a milk spotting is, or milking, I should say, is, you can see here on this particular coin, it's quite bad. There are these white blotchy marks. There's these white marks all around the rim of the coin as well. And it just really takes away from the beauty of the coin. You can see a big milk spot down here on this Britannia. Now, milk spotting, I'm not really going to go into too much detail on what causes it, but in a nutshell, there are cleaning solutions and fluids that are used in the process of minting coins, and it does seem that these residues get kept on the coins, and sometimes then over time they can develop into these particularly horrible looking blemishes on the coins. It's not a new phenomenon. I can't say that word. It's not a new thing. It's been around for a good long while, about sort of 10 years or so, and traditionally the Royal Canadian Mint was the biggest kind of perpetrator, I suppose we should call it, of that. And I know for a lot of people, milky Canadian maples were just awful disappointments and things that, people just avoided like the plague. And that was the action that was taken. People just didn't want to buy the Canadian Royal Mint's silver bullion coins because they would just turn into these horrible looking bullion grade things that people people didn't really want to have in their collections. And the Royal Canadian Mint took notice of that, and they have subsequently introduced Mint Shield or Mint Guard, whatever it's called, to protect their modern coins from that. The long-term solution is yet whether or not that's going to be 100% accurate or guaranteed. Look at this awful one here for the future, but ultimately it seems to be working right now, and that's a really great step in the right direction. And that seems to have been born out of the sentiment from the consumer. So us, what power do we have as a consumer? And I do think that has definitely a part that's played into this, and the rise of people making videos on YouTube in this last 8, 9, 10 years has definitely spurred that message that milk coins are not acceptable. You can do better than having milky coins. Now, the problem is, though, that there are a lot of people out there, and myself included, and I do want to kind of highlight this, that think that a milky coin is not necessarily the worst thing in the world. Of course, it's really disappointing, but silver is still silver. And if you've got milky silver, or if your coins start to milk, it doesn't destroy all the value of your silver. Now, if you've got a particularly valuable proof coin, or if you've got a special edition limited style coin from the Royal Mint, or from any mint, in fact, it's not just the Royal Mint and the Canadian Mint, by the way. We have Royal Mint coins out here on the table, and I do want to focus on the Royal Mint in this video in terms of the latter part of it and what we can do, because the Royal Mint really are seeming to suffer a lot from milking at the moment. I just want to sort of point that out. So, there are definitely mints around the world that suffer from this other than the Royal Mint and the Royal Canadian Mint. But as consumers, in this last sort of 10 years, we have shown a lot of outrage on it, and that's been showcased with the sort of way that the Royal Canadian Mint has acted and changed some of their practices. But there are mints like the Royal Mint that still churn out coin after coin after coin that seems to suffer from milk spotting. And the people that get the biggest hit, the biggest brunt of this are, of course, the coin dealers, the sellers of these particular coins. Now, I want to put this part of the argument forward that it's really nothing to do with the coin dealers and coin sellers about the milking. And a lot of people blame the dealers for the way they store the coins or the way they handle the coins that actually cause the milk spotting to happen. The milk spotting is going to happen whether or not the coin dealer handles it perfectly or not. These coins will also have fingerprints on them because I've used them in many, many different videos before. When I first got them, they just had milk spots on. There were no fingerprints on them. Now, there might have been one or two, but there were certainly nowhere near what you'll be seeing on this video. Coin dealers, they do this for a living. They are not stupid. If they pick up coin after coin with bare hand, pop it in an envelope and send it out to the customer, they're going to get massive blowback. They're going to get massive comeback from people time after time saying, my coins are fingerprinted, my coins are damaged, my coins are milked. Now, at the moment, that is just not the case for the vast majority of dealers. They will take sealed products from the Royal Mint, from various other mints around the world. They'll get monster boxes of these things. We're talking hundreds of monster boxes of coins that come through, and no dealer in this world will be able to check every single coin that comes through for milking. So the vast majority of the coins that pass through a dealer just put into tubes. You get them supplied in the Royal Mint tubes, into tubes of 25, customer buys 25, they just take a tube out of the monster box, don't even open it and send it off to the customer. And it could well be that those coins in that tube are horribly milked. And there are a very large number of people out there in the world that, arguably rightly so, but also arguably not rightly so, criticise and blame the dealers for that. And I cannot fathom why people think that. And I understand in a certain way that it's frustrating to receive a milky coin, to have the disappointment when you open that brand new Royal Mint sealed tube and you think, oh God, it's milked, it's awful, I've wasted my money. But it's nothing to do with the dealer the majority of the time. In fact, the dealer could well have sent out perfectly fine coins, but very cold temperatures do sometimes bring out milk spotting quite a lot faster. And often, if you're buying from Europe, these coins will be flown into your country, and the low temperatures in flight can sometimes exacerbate or accentuate milk spotting. So often it could be that the dealers looked out perfect specimens for you, but then they have milked en route. So should we be pushing back to the dealers? The answer is, in my opinion, no. And if you do get milky coins from a dealer and they weren't advertised as milky, it's one of those really awful situations, I know, and I appreciate that people will be disappointed and bitterly annoyed. But to blame the dealer is, in my opinion, irrelevant. It doesn't matter unless you've got empirical evidence that the dealer has actively handled and messed up your coins and sent them to you. There's absolutely no recourse you have. A bullion grade coin is just that, a bullion grade coin, milk spotting or no. And therein lies the crux of the matter and the problem. So ultimately, the pushback has to come towards the manufacturers of the coins, to the mints in question. Now, we've seen in history that the negative publicity that the Royal Canadian Mint got about their products, about milk spotting, that would have hurt their bottom line. They would have had more customers. They have some lovely coins out there in this world, but there would have been a lot more customers out there if they had nice specimens of coins that didn't milk spot. So they've now rectified that. So how do we push back onto the Royal Mint? Now, this is where I want to focus on the Royal Mint. Now, I have done quite a few videos showcasing Royal Mint products over this last couple of weeks and months, and there have been a few people on this channel that say I'm almost sort of biased in that opinion because I get sent these coins from the Royal Mint to showcase. Well, I'm here to tell you that I'm not. I push back where I need to, and the Royal Mint needs to look into this, and they need to answer the question of milk spotting on their bullion grade coins, because it's not acceptable. But it's not the responsibility of the dealers to push back onto the mint for this. It's impossible for the dealers to do so, especially all around the world. An American dealer might bring in some Britannias to retail in their in their state in the US, and there's practically no way that these dealers can take any milk coins that they've got, send them back to the Royal Mint for replacements. It's just not practical. It's going to hurt bottom lines. But they could do that, and it could theoretically push to the Royal Mint to actually rectify it. But the problem is the Royal Mint themselves don't recognise milk spotting as a problem. They're producing bullion products. They're producing items made out of a particular metal, not in a perfect specimen. Proof coins are a different matter. Royal Mint gets a milked proof coin out to a customer or to a dealer. They can push back on that. It's not meant to be milked. But a bullion coin, that it doesn't matter, and that needs to change from the Royal Mint. They need to improve that quality control standard because people are getting a little bit fed up of this. And the way that we as consumers can look to do that is by, it's a sad thing to say, but it's by almost boycotting the Royal Mint bullion products. Now that might sound like a bit of a strange thing for me to say because, as I said, I've had quite a few Royal Mint bullion products over the last couple of weeks and months that I've showcased and talked very positively about because I like the designs of them. But in those videos I have also put a caveat in there for the silver ones to say that quality, milk spotting and issues around quality need to be addressed, need to be looked at because they are not good right now in the Royal Mint. The Royal Mint's quality control has certainly not been as good as some other mints. There are mints around the world like the Perth Mint where milk spotting is rare, almost negligible in terms of how much happens there. And you know, there must be a way, you've seen the Royal Canadian Mint address it and use a different type of technology to prevent these type of things happening. There must be ways to do it. And I think for us as consumers, we need to be pushing back onto the Royal Mint. We need to be, it's one of those things where you want to strike a balance because of course we need and want our silver, but ultimately the type of silver that you buy is your own responsibility. And if you want to continue sort of buying Milky Britannias all the time and putting up with them, then that's one thing. But if you get Milky Britannias and your bullion dealer can't sort it out, rightly so, there's only really one sort of recourse, and that is to let the Royal Mint know that their quality is not up to standard, that it needs to improve. Otherwise, you will not be buying in the future. Sadly, though, there are just so many people around the world that will accept Milky coins, and myself included. You know, like when I bought these Britannias, when I got them supplied and they came in, they were milky. I was like, well, they're melt stack. I genuinely said that. I just said, you know, ultimately these are going to go into the melting furnace one day, or they're going to be sent back to a dealer for whatever price we can get for them, spot price. And I'm sure the dealer probably won't sell them on. They'll just send them back probably to some refinery that will end up going to the Royal Mint. So, you know, ultimately it's one of those things for me where it doesn't necessarily bother me too much, but should it bother me more? Should I be pushing back on the Royal Mint more? And of course, with a platform such as I have and some of the connections which I'm now building up within the bullion markets and industry, you know, I think it is important to highlight to consumers out there that your Royal Mint bullion products might not be the nicest things out there to look at. The designs are often very good, and we've seen the 2021 Britannia with all of its new security features coming in. The argument whether or not a 1 ounce silver bullion coin needs that many security features is an interesting one. I'd much rather them invest time, money and energy into solving milk spotting and quality control issues within their production lines than to have additional security features on silver. Now, gold, definitely I want the security features. Gold doesn't suffer from milk spotting, but silver is the little problem child for the Royal Mint right now, and other mints around the world. I have been rather overly focused on the Royal Mint today in this video. It's just simply because that's been coming up more and more on various different social media platforms like the Silver Forum as well. But I do want to kind of reinforce my message here that ultimately the dealer, if you buy a Milky coin from a dealer, the responsibility is not from the dealer to sort of push back on this. The responsibility is on us as consumers. If we buy less of these problem items, the dealers will in turn buy less, and the mint will recognize that there are issues that need to be resolved. How much that's going to happen and how long that process will take is anybody's guess. It took a very long time for the Royal Canadian Mint to address these issues. I'm sure that the Royal Mint will be aware of this, and it's not just milking as well. The general quality control from the Royal Mint can sometimes be a little bit less than desired. And I have personally fed back to the Royal Mint. You know, of course, I've got contacts with the Royal Mint about the coins that we've been sent through to review. I've had a feedback session with them, and they asked me point blank. They said, "What are the things that most annoy you about Royal Mint products?" And the first thing I said was quality and quality control, and also just simple things like these tubes of coins as well. So this is the last thing I kind of want to talk about. Let's get exactly 25. That's 5. Because the tubes themselves are, in my opinion, slightly part of the problem. Not necessarily for milk spotting. I mean, I don't know what the sort of polymer plastic is made out of, whether that affects the milking process or exacerbates the milking. But one thing that I have always had issue with is that these Royal Mint tubes are an absolute pig to get the coins back into. Now, what you have to sort of bear in mind is that these tubes are designed to kind of keep the coins as snug as possible. But, you know, when you're trying to put them back in, it can be a right pain. Look, you see they don't always fall in properly, and then you get, it's not in, and then you have to like try and get them out, and they get kind of stuck. So you see here, they're kind of stuck, and it's just a real faff. It's an absolute nightmare. And of course, that's going to ding and damage and dent your coins. So even if you're just a consumer at the other end, a customer that's bought a Royal Mint tube and you're trying to get them out, there's a fair chance that you'll actually damage your coins on the way out of them. And often the simplest way to get it is to stack the coins up as trying to get them in a perfect tower as possible. And then just slide that over. You have to then slide this away, pick it up, put it down, and there you have it. But even like getting them out again, you know, you see what I'm doing here? I'm having to kind of try and put my finger there to stop it, but they're already starting to fall out. And even like getting them out there, it's a bit difficult. They come out in a sort of leaning tower of coins. And I've sympathy for dealers around the world that offer, you know, sort of smaller amounts of Britannias and other coins that come from the Royal Mint, because these tubes are often really annoying, and the amount of additional labour that comes into opening a tube and getting all of the coins out and safely out without damaging them, it's a bit of a nightmare. And there are different tubes around the world that are better, and I think part of the problem is this internal design here, the sort of issues around the kind of edges there. The coins kind of almost get stuck in sort of between them like that, and oh, I haven't got it on camera, like that, you see, and then they can't fall either way. You see it's holding up. So there's definitely kind of issues around that, and you know, it's just, look, you can see it's not very easy to get in. Whereas things like the American Eagle tubes, which are a really nice round circular fit, they snug fit down in there. That's much better. The Perth Mint tubes, I think, are better too. So yeah, generally, you know, there are things that need to be worked out from the Royal Mint. That's one of the things I told them. And generally then the other thing was just generally about milk spotting that I said, and I gave feedback. What would be great to know, though, is what you guys think about this issue, about this problem, about this situation. Do you think it's the dealer's responsibility? Do you think that the dealers around the world, do you think there should be a memorandum put out there for all dealers to boycott Royal Mint or send back Milky coins? It's going to hurt the consumer, because ultimately these additional costs that come in, because the Royal Mint, as I said, they don't think that this is a problem. They think that this is fine for a bullion grade coin. So if a dealer rings the Royal Mint up and says, the dispatch that I've received is milky and horrible, I want to get different coins, the cost of returning and replacing will be on the dealer, not on the Royal Mint, unless that's put in other words of some form of contract. So it's gonna be passed on to us, the consumer, and that could make what is already a problem child coin even more expensive going forward. So is that responsibility on the dealers, or is it on us as consumers to not purchase these things? I know for me, you know, buying silver coins from the Royal Mint is a very rare occurrence. I buy Queen's Beast 2-ounce silvers and 10-ounce silvers pretty much exclusively. I have the odd tube of Britannias, but beyond that, it's just gold. Gold is where I go for that Royal Mint capital gains tax exempt bullion, because it's just not going to have the same kind of problems that silver is. So let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. If you've enjoyed this video with the thoughts that we've been sharing here on this subject, then please do hit that thumbs up button. It really does help everything that we do here on the channel. If you'd like to support the channel, then check out our memberships. We have behind the scenes exclusive videos and other cool perks for you to explore as well. Otherwise, subscribe if you've not done so already. We have something like 80% of the views on this channel from people who are not subscribed. So subscribe if you want to see videos from us in the future. Otherwise, that is it from me. A big thank you to you all for watching. Have a fantastic week ahead. And as always, please make sure that you like, share, comment, and subscribe for more.